Alright, so one of the options for book reports would be this program called PhotoStory 3 for Windows. It's found underneath our Stirl class icon. So if you double click and say open, so this is your splash screen, and then you would just click on begin a new story. Alright, let's find our marking sheet here. Okay, so you need a title page, so a lot of this stuff is going to be exactly like you would expect. So what we're going to do is we're going to import a picture. And I'm going to choose The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe just because I have lots of pictures for that. So here's the cover of the book. So you would just search that as normal. So the first thing is, this is your storyline down here. You want to put in all your pictures. So after your story, then you would have, okay, title page. Main characters, picture, and a narration of main characters. Now, down here, it does say you must have a title before each section, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a title. Now the problem, or it's not necessarily a problem, it's an opportunity really, is that PhotoStory doesn't provide you with background titles. So the easiest way to do that would be to search for background. So I'm going to just search for black background, enter, and then I'm going to click on images. So here I can have all sorts of interesting. Is it showing up? Yes. So let's say I really like this frame black background, or this one actually looks a little more obvious on your screen. So I'm going to just click on that, and then I'm going to save image as, and I call it black wood background. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I want to bring in my background so I can put a title on. So I'm going to import, and I think it's one folder up. Oopsie. Photo. So before I had made a folder called PhotoStory 3 images. Okay, so there's the blackwood background. So I'll just double click on that. So now I'm going to import my characters, and there's Susan and Edmund, and I'll bring in one more, I guess. Maybe the professor. Okay. All right. So let's go back to. So we've got characters. Then you do the same thing for setting a picture, narrate. So now I'm going to import a background picture, background for my setting, and I'll use this one here. And then I would need to bring in a picture of my setting, and this story takes place in the winter time, so maybe this one here is kind of wintry, so I'll bring that in. And what else do we have? Well, then we have the other things that you would expect, like plot, author, evaluation, and so on. Okay, let's take a look at this part here, the other criteria. So it can't be more than 4 minutes. You must have a title for each section. Must have video, pictures, and titles for the entire duration of the movie. The audio and the video must line up. So in other words, whatever we see, the narration should line up with what we see. The audio volume must be balanced. You must have a music soundtrack, and then you need to hand it in the right way. Okay, so we'll go through that.
So how do you?
So I've already shown you how to make a title. Must have video for the entire thing of the movie. Audio and video must line up. So let's go to that. So let's go back to here, and let's put in our title. Okay. So the first step is to put in all your pictures. Okay. So there's a little bit of planning that happens there, and those of you that made movies for the assemblies, you know about storyboarding. So this is where storyboarding would come in. So you would have all your pictures where you want them, including the, continuing on into the plot and your evaluation. So you'd put them all into the timeline. Now, if you decide that you want to change the order, you see these buttons over here. So right now I've got Edmund and then the professor, but if I want the professor before Edmund, all I have to do is highlight the picture and click on this left button, and this picture moved to the left. Okay, same thing, I can move it back to the right and so on. If I don't want the picture, I could just hit X and then that picture goes away. I can also mess around with the pictures, and I can rotate them, I can crop them, I can do all that.
Sweet.
And I could also If, let's say, with this one, if I want to edit, sorry, my bad. Oh, that's the next step. Okay. Now you might get this thing here where it says remove black borders. That's talking about the black on this side. So if the picture is not exactly the right size for the movie, it'll put in black borders. I wouldn't worry about it. I would just keep them there. If you want to remove them, you could, but it does take a little bit of while. You know, it does mess around with them, and I would just say leave it. All right. So let's say we've got all our pictures in here. Then we click on next. And this is where we could put in some text. So here I put in a black, just a background, but I want to give it the title of main characters. Now the only thing you need to be careful about is right now I've got a black background and I've got black text. If I have a really dark black background and I start typing, by default it's going to be black, and you might think that you've done nothing, but it's just because it's black on black. So to change that, I'm just going to highlight that, and I'm going to choose over here, I'm going to choose something like white instead. And you can see that shows up much nicer. Okay, so that's how you mess around with those. If you want it at the top, you'd click the top button, middle, back. If you want it in the side, you could click the side, right side, center. So you can just play around with it. And then here you can also put an effect. So I could turn it black. Well, black and white doesn't make much sense. I could put it into a negative, or I could put it into this thing called diffuse glow. Now this one I would do nothing. This is not a great picture to manipulate because it's black and white. If I had a different one, I could, well, let me show you black and white, and I'll just go through all these different effects that you can put onto it. So negative makes it look, so you can do all sorts of things, but unfortunately you could see that it could take, you could end up playing with it a lot, and I just wouldn't want you to waste too much time on it. But so at this stage you can actually manipulate these pictures and change them and so on. Let me just show you this one more time. So let's say, so that's characters. So this is, let's say this is plot. So I'm going to type in plot. Okay, whatever, setting, fine. So setting. So I've typed in the word setting, but why am I not seeing it appear over here? Because it's black on black, right? So I'll just show you another color here just for the sake of it. Make it green. Okay, and there it is. All right? Okay, so I've put in my pictures and I've added titles where I need to. Now, when I click on next, this is where I can record. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'll hit this red button and I'll start talking. Okay, my book report is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Stop. Go to my next picture. Main characters. And you see that this took 2 seconds. Okay. Susan is the oldest girl in the story. She is a leader and she is very brave. Now every time I make a comment, you see over here I've got this little comment button, the little graphic here, like a little talking balloon on a cartoon. So now I know that I've made a comment, and in this case it's 7 seconds, 5 seconds, and so on. Okay. Edmund is a bit of a mean character at the beginning of the story, but then he becomes a nicer character towards the end of the story. Okay? Now the other thing you can do is you can also add some motion to this. So down here it says customize motion. And what you can do is you can specify the start and end position. This is called the Ken Burns effect. So it's a bit of a zooming kind of thing. So let's say I want at the beginning of my Edmund picture, I want it to start, well here, I'm going to start off just with his eyes. Like start off with his eyes, and then at the end of my Edmund part, so set start to be the same as the end. No, I don't. Okay, so I'm going to, let's say I just want to have it end up as a full screen. So what should happen when I play my movie, it should start off at his eyes only, and then at the end of the little clip, it should be a full picture for him.
Oh, so it is.
Okay, so now I'm going, if I wanted to, I could preview it. Now sometimes I might have to stop my... Edmund is a bit of a mean character at the beginning of the story, but then he becomes a nicer character towards the end of the story. Alright, so that gives you an idea. It gives you an idea of how that all works. So let's say I'm happy with that. Okay, I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to close. Okay, so that's how you would narrate your parts. Now that's why it's important that you have all your pictures in your storyline, because if you don't have a picture, you don't have anything that you can talk about. So I would say, like in your plot, you might want to have 5 pictures, like a couple for the beginning, or 6 pictures, a couple for the beginning, a couple for the middle, a couple for the end, kind of idea. Okay, let's go back. I'll take questions at the end, okay guys? All right, so audio and video must line up. So that's what I'm talking about. You have all your pictures in your storyline, and then you can only add narration on top of a picture. Audio level, okay, I'll show you how to do that. And you must have a music soundtrack. All right. So once I've gone through all the narration, so this is the step where you narrate your picture and customize your motion. Now, once I'm done that, I click Next. And now I'm going to select some music. Now, if I have music on my computer, I can bring that in by just clicking on this button and then going to wherever I have it, like music and so on. But my guess is that you're probably going to want to make your own music. So that's where you click on Create Music. And this will bring in a bunch of types. Now, I would say you should probably sort it by the style. So there's all styles, but then there's classical, country, jazz, etc., so on, so on, and so on. Let's go with dance. So by picking dance, now I've changed different. I've got fewer things to choose from, because otherwise it becomes almost too much. So I'm just going to go. Let's say I want to check it out. All I have to do is press play. Can you hear that? Now let's say I kind of like that, but it's not good enough. I want to see if there's a different version. I could choose the cheerful mood. And it's just a variation of that. Okay, so anyways, I could spend forever picking and choosing here, but I'm just going to say I'm okay with it. And then I'm going to click on OK. Now you'll see that here's the beginning of my movie, here's the end of the movie, and above here it's put in the soundtrack. Now by default it puts it in as high, which is the volume as high, which is way too big. So I would say, you know, you can preview it. So I'll put it right in the middle-ish, and then I'll click on preview.
Right in the middle.
Okay, my book report is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Okay, that's actually not loud enough, so I'm going to just boost it a bit. Okay, my book report is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. You know what? So, like some of these soundtracks are seemingly louder. Like the couples when I was playing with it before, when I had it from high, I couldn't even hear myself talk. Let me just try it on full blast here.
Ready to plug your earlobes?
Okay, my book report is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Main characters. Okay, so so that's basically how you do it. Now, the only other thing I want to point out, if you don't like that song, you could just delete music, and then you could go through that again. Thank you. Now, the one problem we've got here is that the opening slide was 17 seconds, right? So that's way too long. So what I would do is I would go back to this page here, or is it in this one? No, this page here. And the problem is that it's taken, you can see that it starts at 0, it takes 17 seconds. So this is the point where you can say, you know what, 17 is way too long. So if you select the number of seconds here, I'm going to say, whoopsie, I went the wrong way. I'm going to go, I want it to only be 5 seconds. Now I could probably even just type it in. Yes, 5 seconds. Save, and now I can press preview. And you'll okay, my book report is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Main character. Much better. Okay, so
Sounds like Dora theme song.
that is. Let me just see what else do we have here. So I think that's about it.